Good evening, everyone. It's Tom Sidney Bushnell, aka Numbers, here from Psych Club from the Tom Numbers Show. News of Tom Numbers and Top of Your Game. And I've got my buddy that's always at the top of his game, Mr. Matt Geiger from Midas Gold. Matt, how are you, buddy?
Good, Tom. How you doing? Good to be back.
Yeah, good, man. Good to have you back. It's good to have you back. So what have you got for us today in terms of the movings around on the political board, but also the money markets and the stock market and gold and Trump and all that stuff? What do you got for us?
Well, first off, I loved your interview. I finally got a chance to watch it with Jan Halper Hayes. That was awesome.
Yeah.
There might be
Dan and Rob.
Yeah, some people watched it, and there might be some comms in there that you may want to revisit.
Yeah.
Some communication. Yeah. Somebody brought it to my attention. You guys are better at this stuff than I am, but I always listen to the smart people. But yeah, Trump just got done in New Hampshire. It was a total blowout as expected. I think he got something like 45,000 more votes than he got in 2020 in the New Hampshire primary. And if people don't know, in New Hampshire, Democrats are actually allowed to vote in the Republican primaries. Huh. So it just goes to show you just how much Trump really is leading when you factor in, Democrats that are allowed to just go there and vote for Nikki Haley just to kind of slow down Trump's momentum. It's not working. Nothing's working.
Yeah.
And I just, she's staying in the race. She's the establishment candidate. She's a joke. She's a warmonger, right? We all know the story. I don't think she's controlled opposition. I thought DeSantis was. And I thought Vivek was, or Vivek, however you pronounce it. I think they were controlled opposition, but I think Nikki Haley's the real deal rhino, plotting against, whatever Trump, plotting against Trump's, trying to diminish Trump essentially, which they're not going to do, and it's scary because on the one hand, it's like, yeah, you love the momentum. But on the other hand, it's like, these guys are going to stop at nothing to take him out of office. They're going to stop at nothing. They're going to try to kill the guy. Right. And to me, I always worry about Trump's safety, but at the same time, I feel like he's insulated enough where, he'll be fine. But I mean, these indictments, right? It's all a joke, but they're going to do something. And I think leading up to the election, we're probably going to have an election process that's going to take 2 months to count the vote, right? And as far as markets and things like that, as I mentioned in the last episode, Trump's poll numbers are what are dictating the stock market.
Yeah.
Right. It's the anticipation, right? The whole market's basing the gains on Trump's, the bringing back of Trump to office, right? Because they know the economy is going to boom. So I think the way they're going to take out these markets is they're going to take out Trump from the race somehow, some way, whether it be through fraud, whether it be through anything else. So people in the market have to be very careful. Your entire life savings in many cases is it's invested in stocks. People have to be very, very careful and understand what's really driving the market. And it's not the way markets should work. Yeah. Right. So I think what a crash allows us to do is, it sucks. People lose their money, but at the same time, we need to reform it. Right. We need to have better, regulations. I think we were talking about the AMC stock and GameStop in the last episode
yeah.
Right. It's like these hedge funds can just call up the trading houses and just say, hey, put a stop to this.
Yeah.
It's like, do you really want to operate in a system like that? No, I don't think people do. So be careful out there. As far as Trump was actually supposed to come here to Arizona today. I was actually going to leave after this interview and go to his rally. I have some friends that were going to go start waiting in line.
Yeah.
They canceled it. And I don't know if it was for, they say he has to go to court or something like that. Maybe it's security reasons,
Right.
And then tomorrow he was supposed to be at Dream City Church in Scottsdale, which I was going to go to. That's Charlie Kirk's church. I go to the Dream City Church in Peoria, Arizona. Charlie Kirk goes to the one in the Scottsdale area. So it's all canceled. We're not seeing Trump this weekend, which sucks because I wanted to see Trump.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Did you say that he was going to be at Yuma as well today?
Yeah, today I believe the rally was supposed to be in Yuma.
It's interesting because I mentioned Yuma on the show with Jan Halper and Rob Cunningham, and a couple of days ago. Well, actually, was it yesterday or the day before? So a couple of days after we did that show, or it got aired, Yuma, the old 1957 film, was on again. And I've been saying it's got Yul Brynner in it. It's not Yul Brynner. It's another old actor, but it's a black and white film. But it's been remade with Christian Bale later on. So it's important, 310, because the 310th day of the year is November 5th. which is the election day. So President Trump keeps going to Yuma. So, or didn't on this occasion, but he's done it plenty of times before. So it's an important marker, it's an important code. And you talked about his protection. So he's got Secret Service around him. Secret Service in numbers is 151. Jesus Christ is 151. Drain the Swamp is 151. So it's a Lady Diana Spencer's 151. So it's an important number, and I do feel that he's protected. But there will be lots of kind of toing and froing and moving around on the board before we get to the where we're going. Tell us a little bit more. So the whole thing with the market, and it makes perfect sense. I hadn't thought of it, but you brought it up in the last show, and I highlighted that in the title when I put that up on Rumble. It was on YouTube as well, but when I put it up on Rumble, and his poll numbers reflect where the market is going. People have got their life savings in 401ks and things like that. So I guess I'm assuming, I don't know, but I'll ask you the question. It seems an obvious question, but can people take a portion of their 401k out and put it into gold and silver? I assume they can do the whole lot if they want to, but if they're kind of like, well, I want to see a little bit what the market's like, but I also want to protect myself. Can they just, is it easy just to take a portion of that out, and how would they go about that?
It's really simple. I mean, the way the process works is you're just rolling it into another type of IRA. It's called a self-directed IRA. Right?
Okay.
Directing your investments to yourself. So effectively, there's no tax implication, right? It's staying in the IRA system. You're just moving laterally through the IRA system, right? So let's say somebody's, 200 grand, right? They say, hey, I want to take 100 of it. Maybe they want to leave their dividend paying stocks that are paying, 7-8% or something like that, right? It's a nice income for people. Maybe they don't want to give that up. They say, hey, I got another portion of 100, just move it right out. Boom. You move it over to the gold IRA, right? And that moves over as cash. And then you just buy the physical gold and physical silver, the same as if you're walking in my store.
Okay.
Right? It's really simple stuff.
And people can do that. They can, if they're on the other side of, you're in Arizona, but say someone's in New Hampshire or New York or New Jersey or over on the East Coast, Boston, they can call you and you can do all of that. And what's the kind of, when they kind of like what they hear, what's the kind of time frame for them to actually, let's do that, Matt, let's go ahead?
I would say on average, it takes about 1 to 2 weeks. In a lot of cases, it's the financial company. So let's say somebody's moving from, Vanguard or Fidelity or one of these, financial companies, it's up to them to move the funds. So we'll push it along in a lot of cases. We'll always try to push it along, but, sometimes they hold up things. They don't want to let go of the money. I actually think I could see a scenario where the banks get into such financial trouble, which they already are, and no one's talking about it. Maybe the banks throttle your ability to move your money, right? Maybe they say, hey, we can't have all this money moving out of our bank, right? So maybe they say, hey, you can only roll out 10% of your IRA per year.
Really?
Right. So they could create some stipulation. That's realistically what I see happening as we get through the year, is that people's ability to access and move their money is probably going to start to dwindle. It's going to start to disappear.
Yeah.
Because too much money moving out of these banks, that'll crash a bank.
Yes. So patriots that are listening to you and me, maybe, while they can still move it, go ahead, test the water, maybe move a 10%, 20, 50, whatever you feel comfortable with, call Matt and get it done, because you don't want to kind of be caught with the tide going out, which may happen, could happen imminently, could happen in a couple of weeks, could happen in a couple of months, but it's probably wise and prudent to at least have a chat with Matt and give him a call and see what you can do and go into precious metals, because it's, they're yours.
Yeah, and I don't think the urgency is necessarily going to be, gold and silver prices skyrocket or something to that effect. I think it's going to be people's ability to get the stuff and to actually move their funds out of their IRA, right?
Yeah.
To gold and silver. I don't see it. I don't see the urgency being, gold and silver, gold takes off to 5,000 and silver takes off to 100 and you miss the boat. I don't see it that way. I think probably the window to buy silver is probably going to start to close up this year, if I had to guess. It's not as readily available. A lot depends on what the mints do. Like, for example, in 2023, the U.S. Mint was producing at the beginning of the year maybe about 900,000 silver eagles per month. And they have a capability of like 5 to 6 million. So they're producing at 1/5, 1/6, not even 1/5, 1/6 of the production, because they're still under all the COVID restrictions, all the nonsensical COVID restrictions. So realistically, I just don't see, the mint could very well stop producing silver, right? It would be illegal for them to do that according to the American Eagle Act, right? The American Eagle Act requires the mint to meet public demand. But at the same time, I mean, we see the government going rogue on many different fronts. It's not, who's going to enforce that law, right? No one.
Yeah.
So what we saw last year, we saw Silver Eagle premiums skyrocketed. They were almost twice the price of the spot price of silver.
Wow.
Close to it. Yeah, it's probably like a 40% premium at certain times.
Really?
So what's nice about right now is that it's lower premium, right? It's kind of the calm before the storm. So it is a good time, I think, right now before things, deep states start throwing wrenches in the economy, wherever they're going to come from places people are not even thinking about.
Yeah.
So I think this is a very good time because premiums are still low. Supply is there, right? You kind of want to be a little bit, even if you're a little bit early, it's better than being too late.
Of course. And I think a lot of our viewers and listeners, they're wise people, they wouldn't be listening to us otherwise. And so it's like they're well-to-do, they're educated, they're intelligent, and they've got good hearts. And it's like, if they've been thinking, because they probably have, there's probably a lot that have been kind of sitting on the fence, not sure where to go, who to trust with it, then just give Matt a call and see what he can do for you. You talk about the calm before the storm. So in numbers, storm equals 85. And guess what? Precious metal equals 85 silver. So the calm before the storm, the calm before the silver. It's like, okay, get in on it. One question I've got. So a lot of my audience proportionately are in the US because the US is 5 or 6 times bigger than the UK. And then I've got people in Europe and elsewhere around the world. In terms of them, so people can get silver and gold delivered to them physically if they're in the US. Some of my audience outside of the US, would it be prudent for them to have, say, in the facility in Texas through yourself, have some stored there, so they know whether it's in Europe or in the UK or if it's in the US, they're not going to physically, some want to take it and keep it, but some might just want it, kind of a Fort Knox situation where it's secured to the houses. Could they participate in that as well? Is there anything that would get in the way of them actually going through yourself and physically storing some of it at the facility, even if they're not a US citizen?
Yeah, so it would be a little bit tough for us to get stuff. We don't mail overseas. What people in the UK, you guys have the Royal Mint, and the Royal Mint produces fantastic stuff. You guys have the coin your sovereign coin is called the Britannia. Britannia. And it's a beautiful coin. It's very well done. I would definitely recommend, going to a local dealer out there. They exist. I've been to London before. You got plenty of gold and silver shops out there. Go drop in a place like that. Go convert your cash to some physical gold, some physical silver. Take possession of it. Okay. I think it's going to be very important because the whole fiat system, money backed by nothing, right? Every country's on it. Every country's been using this garbage for money.
Yeah.
Right. And that system is a product of the deep state, right? It's their creation. So if you want to escape the deep state, if you want to get rid of these people once and for all, you have to destroy their system, right? Yeah. What Trump's really doing and what the White Hats, I think, are doing is they're allowing the system to implode on itself.
Yes.
Right? Their hands are clean, right? It's not going to be Trump's fault. It's going to be completely on them, right? Yeah. The Janet Yellens of the world, right? These different people, I forget the other guy's name. They're going to have to answer questions. They're going to have to go in front of probably a new Congress and explain, hey, why did everybody in the country lose their money?
Yeah.
That's going to be a fun one, but not if you're somebody who lost your money. And I think what gold and silver represents is it's going to be, as we've talked before, people are going to lose trust between them and their banks, them and their government. So I think the only way you rebuild trust is you go back to physical assets. You have to.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And as I've said before, what Juan talks about is it's not just gold and silver. We'll have an oil-backed dollar here in the United States, but oil that's drilled within the U.S. Great idea. Get diversified in the dollar, right? So if $1 goes down, right, the other dollars can sustain the country. We put all our eggs in one basket with this one Federal Reserve note. The way money used to work is we used to have different types of money. We have to go back to that.
Tell us more about the different types of money. So people historically might not be totally aware of that. Tell us more about that, Matt.
So back in the day, we used to have Federal Reserve notes, right? Let's say
Yeah.
after 1913, we had a Federal Reserve note. That's the green seal, right? That's what we still have today. We
Yeah.
had gold certificates. It's actually a gold certificate right up there. It's a $20 1928 gold certificate. And here, you know what? I'll pull it out. Hang on.
So that's the gold certificate. That's the promise to pay.
So it's not a Federal Reserve. It's $20 in gold coin payable to the bearer on demand.
Yeah.
Right. That's a $20 gold certificate from 1928.
Who was that in the middle?
That is Jackson.
That's Jackson. Okay.
Andrew Jackson. Yeah. Who Trump, by the way, would keep a framed photo above his desk of Andrew Jackson, because Andrew Jackson got rid of the central banks not once but twice as president.
Did he?
Yeah. We've been fighting off the deep state. Actually, it's really the crown that's been trying to infiltrate the United States. It's really, it's really the crown that's been in control in the Vatican, trying to infiltrate this country since our inception. They never stopped warfare. The Revolutionary War has been never really ended when you think about it. But yes, we had U.S. notes, which were red seal bills. They stopped those in 1963, and what those was they were notes of debt, but they were sovereign debt. It was debt to ourselves. And then we had silver certificates. I don't have any silver certificates here. I have them at home, but those are the blue seal, right? And that's what Kennedy wanted to use in order to back our money in 1963 when he did Executive Order 11110.
Yeah.
That was quashed out, right? They killed him. But yeah, Kennedy understood we needed to back our money with something. It couldn't just be this, what they did is they phased our money into just one Federal Reserve note, a note of debt, and it just completely took control of our monetary system. Right. And that's when inflation started, right? With gold, you really don't get inflation. You eliminate, right? You get price stability. You get protections against politicians, right? So that's why it's people forget how important gold and silver are to money. And I think a good thing people can do is study your financial history and realize that this country was built on a gold standard. And we need to get back to that type of, way of operating.
Yeah. It's interesting when you mentioned the silver order with Kennedy. So 11, 11, 0. And 11 times 11 is 121, which is Golden Jubilee. But 11/11 is also November 11th. And traditionally here in the UK, that's Remembrance Day. And it also, what is it in what's the equivalent in the US? Is it, you've also got a parallel day for it. So it's commemorating those that passed in the war. What's it called on 11/11? Is it Veterans Day?
Well, we have Veterans Day. We have Memorial Day.
The Memorial Day. Is that 11/11?
I don't think it's 11/11.
The Memorial Day. Is it Veterans Day? I think there's an equivalent day in the US, but here in the UK, it's 11/11, Armistice Day. So it's when the war ended, and you have 2 minutes silence at 11 o'clock. So you got on the 11th month, on the 11th day, on the 11th hour. But the interesting thing in terms of one of the Q posts is, so it says about a week to remember, and we've always been told in the UK to remember the 5th of November. That's the election day. That's the 310 to Yuma, And then a week later, if you include the 5th, is Remembrance Day, 11/11. And so it's like, I wonder, seems kind of probable to me that week to remember would be remember the 5th of November to Remembrance Day, 11th of November, 11/11. And it ties in nicely with JFK's Silver Order, and the 064, which is movie, which is 0, it's like, I wonder if that's the point where everything kind of zeroes out and time will tell, but it's interesting how it kind of reflects what he did back then and the numbers and that week to remember, possibly, probably. Yeah.
I think they're making a movie out of this because I know what Trump talks about in Art of the Deal is he talks about how he actually wanted to be initially, before he got into finance, he wanted to be a movie director. He wanted to go out. He wanted to go out to LA and become a movie director. Yep.
What chapter is that in? I haven't. So I bought this recently. I read it. I started reading it 10, 15 years ago. Sold it when I moved a lot of my items, but I got another copy. So I need to pick that part up about movie director.
Everybody, because it'll tell the story about what he's really doing, and it'll give you some clues into the way he thinks.
Yeah.
But he wanted to be a movie director, so my guess is he's, you know, and he wants to be the best at everything. So he's producing the highest grossing movie in history.
Yeah. Well, look at this, buddy. It is the highest grossing movie in history. There's been a few that I've joked in with people about what they are because they're not obvious, but this one is. So if you do the Trump to Trump the Trump, that's 121, which we just did is 11 up times 11. And then Art of the Deal is 115, 11/5, November 5th. And if you do the Art of the Deal, that's 148, which is Donald J. Trump, which is simple gematria, which is the number code I use. So it's all there in that book, you know. It's all there. Yeah.
This goes way deeper than people realize. Your audience realizes, but the average person, this is just.
Well, I'd missed that part about because I didn't complete the book before, and I got to pick up to start reading. I bought it, and I haven't sat down and read it yet properly, but I'm looking forward now to that part about him wanting to be a movie director. I didn't know that. That's new to me. That makes perfect sense.
Like, it's funny because in his books, if you like, I've read a few of them. I think it was Think Like a Billionaire. It may be a different one, but he talks about how you always have to tell people about your accomplishments. You always have to remind people and be like, hey, I did this, I did this. Yeah. So it's like when I watch him on stage talking about it, always reminding people of his accomplishments. It's like, this is what he wrote. Like, if you just read his books, you'll begin to understand him.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Well, you have to. It's like Trump's the prototype. Everything I love about life, Trump emulates. So it's like he loves success, he loves beautiful women, he loves a brilliant, lavish lifestyle, and he's at the heart of the line, and he's good, and he's courageous, and he loves people, and he loves humanity, and he's saving them. So he is the archetypal hero, you know, and everything about him is brilliant. Yeah. Yeah.
It's incredible stuff. Incredible.
It is.
I love just watching him work. The speech, the victory speech he gave in New Hampshire. I mean, it's stand-up comedy. It's like it's a stand-up comedy bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure he's going to, in one of his not too distant speeches in the future, he's going to refer to something we did in the show today.
Hope so.
He always does it. He never faileth. Trump never faileth. Trump never faileth. And he always does it. So I'm going to delve into that about do you remember how far into the book when he talks about being a movie director?
I think it's pretty early in the book.
Is it? Okay.
I think it's within the first 1 or 2 chapters.
Ah, okay. Well, I probably have read it, but ages ago, but it hadn't sunk in. But now I've got it again. I'm going to eagerly get into that and find out about the movie. That makes perfect sense. That's another piece of the puzzle because I love my movies. I talk about all these great movies, and I mentioned how he's referenced in lots of them. You know.
And it's interesting because I'm from New York. So it's like, you know, I grew up in the 90s. And it's interesting seeing how Trump developed these very famous places that I never knew he was really a part of. He had a big hand in a lot of this stuff. And that design, and that window design on buildings that he did in his first, the Commodore, when he renovated the Commodore Hotel. That's right across the street, I think, from Grand Central on 42nd. Okay. But that window design that he has on Trump Tower, that was emulated by every developer ever since. So all those buildings that you see with the, you know, especially in places like LA and some of these newer, that was Trump's design.
What, the long kind of pane windows, you mean?
Yeah. That where the windows, it looks like the building is just made out of windows.
Yeah.
That's his design.
Really?
And everybody's used it ever since, and no one even thinks about it like that.
You know what I noticed about Trump Tower? So if you see it aerially, there's some pictures of it, you know, from above. Right. It looks like a stealth bomber. So it's kind of got that. So it's not just a pure square tower. Right. It's on the side. It's got that kind of jagged edge,
right? Which
looks like a kind of pyramid, but then with a kind of stealth. It just looks like a stealth bomber. If you get the aerial picture of I don't know if I can pull it up. If I can find it, Trump Tower. It just looks like it looks like a stealth bomber. And he's talked about stealth. He says, "Oh, can't see it coming." You know, stealth. It's like Let's have a look. Tower, Trump Tower aerial view.
Have you ever read about the George magazine, the March 2000 cover with him with the Tiffany blue George?
I might have seen it.
That talks about Mar-a-Lago.
Does it?
And Mar-a-Lago is actually Kennedy's winter White House.
Well, Kennedy owned it before Trump.
I don't think he owned it, but I think I know that President Kennedy chose his entire cabinet from Mar-a-Lago.
Right. So he
And
would
that
visit
was-
it, he would frequent it.
Yeah, that was Kennedy's winter White House.
Wow. There it is. There's better pictures of it, but this one that's popped up, so you can see that's the aerial view.
Oh wow, that looks like a B2.
It does, doesn't it? It does. It's like Batman. It's like, you know, and we spoke, I think, in one of the other shows before about, you know, The Dark Knight Rises was filmed at Trump Tower for Wayne Tower, and you got Wayne's World. The Winter White. So the other thing with, if you do Winter White House in numbers, it's 222, which is 1,000 years apiece. And then if you go back into Manhattan and you go along 8th Avenue, you've got the New Yorker Hotel. And I remember even, it's probably happened a few times, but here in England, they were showing the New Yorker magazine a couple of years ago during the height of, you know, the shenanigans. And it had a picture of JFK Jr. on it. And it was New Yorker. And I was like, I know why that's that. I know why that's there. So the New Yorker Hotel
On
is
34th.
actually, what's that?
On 34th Street.
Yeah, and it's also on 8th Avenue. So it's just off of, just a stone's throw from Madison Square Garden, which is a central theme in the most recent Batman film. And it happens on November 5th. And then on November 6th, everything's kind of calm and they kind of see what's gone on. But the New Yorker Hotel where Tesla lived for a long period of time, it's actually New Yorker Wyndham. So it's sponsored by the group, the hotel group, Wyndham. So they bought it. So you can see it, Wyndham, New Yorker, and, you know, big fluorescent sign. But Wyndham in numbers is 88 Trump. If you do Wyndham, New Yorker, that's 222, which is Winter White House, which is 1,000 years apiece, 222. You know, so it's all there.
So bizarre, man.
It's all there.
All there.
It's all there, man. They've been.
What's going on, man?
It's all there.
What's going on? This is
I know
nuts.
what is going on. It's amazing what's going on. It's brilliant, and it's like, how's this being done? It's like, well, it's being done. It's been done for a while, you know. And then you got the whole Baron Trump time travel books from Ingersoll Lockwood, you know. And there's a road in Iowa, Ingersoll Drive. It's like, you know, Iowa, the caucus, Iowa's 48. It's like, what are these things here? And then there's pictures of Ivanka in Paris replicating this other kind of book, Around the World in 80 Days. And it's like, what's going on? What's going on? I know. It's just.
I'm excited for the finale, though.
I know I am. I can't wait. It's like something's coming.
I love the Tiffany. Trump's Tiffany, because, you know, Trump owns the Tiffany company right next to Trump Tower. He owns that.
Yeah, he got the air rights, didn't he, for that?
Got the air rights, right? He got the air rights. Right, he bought the air rights from that, added it to Trump Tower. Yeah. And Trump was the first one to think of stuff like that.
Yeah,
getting the rights. That was his maneuver.
Yeah,
and it's just interesting that he, you know, owns Tiffany's.
Yeah,
the whole Tiffany Blue connection. So
I know. And guess what? Tiffany Blue in numbers is Tiffany Blue's 121, which is 11 times 11. Takes you back to the Kennedy order. The Trump, or Trump Magic, Trump Gate, the Trump 121, that's Tiffany Blue. And they say apparently Ivanka was supposed to be named Tiffany, but Ivana wanted it to be named after her. She was actually called Ivana, but they called her Ivanka for, you know, all of her life. And Trump Tower is, so guess the other thing. So the word tower is 81. The word Tiffany is 81. So it's like Trump Tower, it's Trump Tiffany or Tiffany Trump 169, The Great Awakening 169, Thomas Bushnell 169, Robert Zemeckis or Kennedy Zemeckis, the director of Back to the Future 169, and also Tiffany 81 comes to the word dollars, comes to Zimbabwean or Zimbabwe, I should say. So it's like Trump dollars is 169, Trump Tower. It's like it just it never faded. It's always there.
All connected.
It's always there. It's like who did this? How has this been going on for such a long time? It's just it's amazing. I love it.
Fun stuff, man. Fun stuff. I was going to say your audience should come check out my podcast, Boomerang Podcast, The Boomerang Podcast.
Yeah.
I had a really cool interview. I think I told you David K. Clements came on.
Yeah.
And I had Patriot Mom 007. She came into the studio yesterday. She's doing a lot of great work on the border. So if your audience is interested, I've got some pretty cool guests up there.
Yeah, go over. The link is below. So the Boomerang Podcast is there. And podcast is 78. Kennedy, Boomerang Kennedy, Boomerang Podcast. It's all there. And actually, so we've been talking about New York. Boomerang Podcast is 168 in numbers. Also, New York City is 168 in numbers. And that's what we've been discussing the last few minutes. Trump Tower, the New Yorker building, and building is 78 Kennedy. So it's all there. It's all there, man. Yeah.
Amazing. Cool, man.
Brilliant. Well, a lot of fun with that one. Yeah, that was a lot of fun, Matt. I liked that. That was really good. So I'll see you again in a few days. And what do you got for the weekend? Anything fun?
I was going to do Trump, but
you were, weren't you? Yeah.
I booked some bowling. I'm going to do some bowling tonight.
10 pin, yeah.
10 pin. Yeah, is that what you guys call it?
Bowling, but 10 pin bowl. Yeah. I can hear it. I can hear the ball. I can hear the skills. Yeah.
I started playing more. I never really got into it. Now I'm kind of into it. So I go once a week.
Nice. You must be pretty good.
Not really, but I'm getting better. I bought my own bowling ball. I got it all custom fitted to my hand. It was kind of cool.
Really?
I'm getting better.
What
I'm learning.
color is it?
It's a black. It's like black with a spider on it.
Is it?
Yeah. It's kind of a cool one.
Spider 71, Lady Diana, smart.
Perfect.
Black is 29. A black spider. What would that be? That would be that's 110 president. Nice. 100. Sorry, 100. Time machine. The reset.
Running the numbers on my bowling ball.
Exactly. Well, the other thing, an obvious thing. So when you get the strike, you get the X.
Right.
And that's a 10 in numerology, in Roman numerals, but it's 10 pins, isn't it? So it's 10. But also X is the 24th letter. And we're in the year 2024. And Twitter changed from Twitter 115, 11/5 November. It changed into X. X is 24, 115, 24. That comes to 134. Sorry, 139, which is money exchange. So maybe that's the bullseye. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Cool, man.
So, good stuff. All right, buddy. Well, have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Great
You too.
And pick up the phone, give Matt a call, check out his podcast. And as time goes on, the shoreline, we've still got time to make a few adjustments, improve our lives, and Matt can help with that. So God bless you, buddy. See you soon.
God bless.
Take care, man. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.